Okay, hopefully we are live. Hopefully I got it streaming to the correct place since I have multiple channels. Things kind of do go all over the place. So if you can hear me on the outside feed, say something, hi, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just let me know that you're actually receiving a signal. This is not going to be a long hangout by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to be just something where I have told people that I'll give a quick tutorial on how to do some basic stuff in WordPress if they want to especially be a web page manager for the Great Debate Community web page. Now again, 4, 5, 6 people have expressed interest. So this video is kind of tailored to those 6 people that had interest in it. They can either watch it now or later. The rest of you are probably going to be bored to tears, tell you right now. So if you want to stop watching, be my guest. It's cool. But before you do, let me tell you the upcoming events. And that I got Mel in here. So, you know, I got Mel in here if you want to stick around. Yeah, Mel. Hi, Mel. Mel. She left me already. Can you hear me, Mel? She's frozen already. She's stunned. You see this? She's so thankful to be in here. She can't say a word. She's frozen with just awe. Oh, wait. Here she came back. Another account. One sec. All right, let's try that account. Mel. You have to unmute. You're muted. Hit the unmute button. There we go. Yay! Yeah. So I was just telling people that
what's going on.
Well, you're ghosted, and then you froze, and I was just telling people you're so much in awe being in here. You didn't have anything to say. You were just frozen. Either that, or you were just in mortal terror of what the hell Tommy Hall just wrote a little while ago in his video. What he just put out. Did you watch? I hate to bring it up. I don't care about that shit any longer. I just don't. But Jesus, was that before we get into the whole Great Debate Community webpage stuff and upcoming events, let's just get this out of the way. What the fuck was that monstrosity?
Oh, is he talking about being like he's going to single-handedly cure cancer by himself? And
yeah.
He's been anointed and he's Moses or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have we reached the point where we can officially say he's borderline, if not crossed the border of schizotypical personality traits, delusional, delusions of grandeur, or whatever the hell it is?
Well, you know, Al Capone had syphilis, and he had like delusions of grandeur in jail. So
because that eats your brain.
Yeah, it does. I wonder when the last time he was tested for things. He might consider getting tested for things.
I think he had a pretty promiscuous past, by the way. I don't know his history, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty promiscuous. Now, I was lucky. I had a promiscuous past as well, but I've had so many physicals and blood tests and everything. I am clean as a whistle. The only thing a girl ever gave me was a headache. But yeah, I can't say the same for Tommy there. But people are asking what did Tommy.
I don't know his status. I know Al Capone was pretty promiscuous and he had syphilis, and that particular bacteria, it's like a spirochete, so it drills holes in your brain.
It's like Swiss cheese, right?
Why he had it drills little holes in your brain, and you have delusions of grandeur. And then he thought he had all this money, and then did you see Geraldo Rivera went to Al Capone's vault and there was like nothing?
Oh yeah,
it was like a live show.
Of course, I remember that was back in the '80s. Man, that was a big event. It was all heralded to be, oh, who knows what's going to be in his his vault? Could be millions of dollars worth of diamonds and gold. It could be like the lost city of Atlantis records or something. It's like whatever, and then he opens it up and it's absolutely freaking nothing. So people want to know what,
like Pirates of the Caribbean, except worse,
10 times worse. Yeah, there was no treasure at all. But people want to know what Tommy Hall latest thing is. And again, this is distracting from the entire intent of this particular video hangout, but that's okay. I do this for the live feed. You want to tell them what the hell his video was, and how creepy and how weird and just strange it was?
I haven't watched the video because I don't watch his videos ever.
Oh, you're smart. I forgot. You're smart. You don't watch his shit.
Yeah.
I don't normally either, but
I don't watch his videos.
I don't either. I don't watch much of anything with those guys. But I did this one because Doc Savage had put it up there, and or was it Doc Savage? Somebody, and I said, okay, I'll watch this. And holy crap, yeah, he basically was saying that he, as a lawnmower guy, has overturned cancer because of divine providence from God or something, that he is ordained by God to do this, and it's just, he gets everything wrong. I mean, Doc Savage point by point pointed out what he got wrong.
I just wonder, did a burning bush talk to him, because that's important?
Well, he was pretty
You
he
know, I
was
mean,
pretty promiscuous in his youth, from what I understand. So something may have been burning down there, but it wasn't that.
well, I mean, you know, if he's claiming to have like divine intervention from God, wasn't that Moses? Moses had a flaming bush tell him to do things. So since he works in lawn care, I would think that would probably be the best avenue for God to talk to him, would be through a flaming bush. Because
So
he's right there, you know, with grass and stuff.
so like
So
holy
I thought,
hibiscus or something,
yeah,
or
maybe,
like
maybe, or
ryegrass going up in
maybe it's like,
flames.
you know, maybe it's like a holly bush or something, and the berries spoke. I don't know. I can't speak for his
Those are
personal
poisonous, aren't they?
experience.
I think holly berries are poisonous,
They
aren't they?
might,
Yeah, I think if you
yeah,
eat
they
those,
are. They
yeah.
are. You know, but if we're going on precedent of like biblical proportions, I would expect some form of vegetation would have said something to him, because he does cut grass and he would be closest to bushes. And Moses was pretty close to bushes when they were flaming, and God spoke to those.
Oh, those
According to the
when it
Old
comes to Tommy
Testament.
Hall, those bushes aren't the only thing flaming. So I'm just saying
Well,
this.
I mean, I'm just, you know, if we're going by some kind of precedent on how God talks to people, I would think a burning bush should be the way to go to talk to a guy that cuts grass for a living.
Well, he does work with
Because they're right
pesticides.
there.
I mean, if he works with pesticides, maybe that has some effect on him. And by the way, thank you, George, in the live chat. He says you were right to call Tommy a death peddler. I believe I'm very much right to call him a death peddler. I actually have put it on the wiki, and I
don't
will
see
continue.
the live chat. Can you send me like a link?
Oh, you can't see the live chat. How could you miss the live chat? I've
No,
got the best live chatters.
yeah.
See, you know, like on the
I
non.
don't have
Oh,
the
go ahead.
live chat available right now.
Can I send it to you on on Twitter? I'll DM it to you. Yeah. See.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You can put it in the chat here, like on.
Oh, I'll just put it in
Hangout.
the. I'll
I
just
can
give.
click on it.
Well, I already got the tweet open. So there you go. That's
Okay.
the watch
Well,
link.
then I have to go. I have to pull it up on Twitter.
Oh,
then.
okay. No, I don't want to. I don't want to inconvenience you. 1 second. Let me.
It's a
oh
whole
no!
extra 3 clicks, Steve.
No,
God.
I can't. No. No. Listen, I can't put it in the internal because I'm streaming. You know, the link will go out and everybody will see it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll pull it up. I've got Twitter. I've got the tweeter pulled up, as the young kids say.
Yeah, unless I go. I mean, I change scenes. I guess I could, but oh well.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
So yeah, he is a death peddler. I think that him and G-Man are basically death peddlers. There's no way if ands or buts about it. I mean, these guys are the most scientific, illiterate people in the world, telling people with educations that they think that they understand these topics better than them. It's just completely on a level of absurdity that is unparalleled. It's just ridiculous. So. Oh, we got a flat earther that wants to chat. I'd love to chat with you guys whenever. Cheers, mate. Uber Flat Earth. Hey, Uber Flat Earth. Sure. We're always down for chats. Message me on Twitter, Facebook, G+, find something. But anyways, let's get into the topic of this hangout, because we real quick. So I need to guys tell you about the events coming up. I'm just going to go week by this week, and then I want to show how to enter these into the Great Debate community page. So if you're willing to help out, because this non-sequitur stuff is taking so much time, and plus now I'm going to be more often on the Geek Room, and so is Kyle. We're going to be probably the third and fourth man on the Geek Room quite frequently, so we're going to be full up with things between the Geek Room and the non-sequitur show. So if anybody wants to help run the Great Debate community webpage and promote their channel in doing so, because obviously you can upload your links to your videos and you can get them out there. And there is traffic on that particular page. It's not as much as our non-sequitur page. We're getting about 600 unique hits a day on that page, which is pretty good. But we are going to start driving to the Great Debate community page, so people want to know the upcoming events. So if we can get an administrator to take maybe 15 minutes every Sunday just to do administrative stuff like upload videos and do the upcoming features, that would be great. And the 6 people that have offered to do so, this video is for you. The rest of you, probably going to be bored. But anyways, okay, so today, I already told Mel what we got. Do you remember what I told you we got going on tonight? You already forgot. It was that important.
I've been working so much on my own stuff the past 2 days. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is why I write stuff down. I have like a planner right here.
Oh, so do I. Oh, I use
a
calendar. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I couldn't live without my calendar. There's no possible way. Oh, is there? Okay. So, all right. So tonight we actually got Flat Earther Debbie, and she'll be having a discussion with Kristen Banks, Astro Kitten, or Astro Kristen,
Oh,
not Astro Kitten. That would have been a cool name too.
Astro. Well, Astro Kit would be a cool name.
That
So
would
yeah,
be.
you're talking about the flat earther talk you're giving this evening with a debate with somebody, right?
I'm going to call it a discussion, and
A
I'm
discussion.
not a big fan of Debbie. Let me get on record here. I watched for about 5 minutes Debbie on JD's stuff, and I had to be done with it. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't. So I don't even know what the hell her story is, besides what people have told me, because I can't stand listening to her. It is just one dumbfuckery thing
Why
after
are you
another.
doing a talk? Why are you doing a talk with somebody you can't stand listening to? This is what I don't understand about people sometimes. Life is so short.
Well, it's for people's entertainment. It's not for me. It's for them. I'm sacrificing myself for them. It's an altruistic thing I have. But
You're
no,
running into traffic for the entertainment of others.
exactly, full on. Like Mack trucks going by at 80 miles an hour. Yeah, I'm not a fan of hers. She just cannot have a conversation. She doesn't have any social skills of knowing when to shut the fuck up and listen and when to actually say something, right? Yeah, not my style. But anyways, we arranged that. So tonight that'll be 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern on the Non-Sequitur Show channel. Um,
Mhm.
if anybody wants to look forward to that, let me know in the live chat. If you don't care, let me know. Bunny says Astro Kitten is an awesome name. It really is. Somebody should take that. It's a little
Yeah,
sexist,
Astro
but
Kitten is
it's nice.
cool.
It's Astro Kitten.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think
Well,
there's lots of images of kitties in space, so I don't quite understand. There's kitties with tacos in space. There's kitties on rainbows and rockets in space. You got Nyan Cat, right? That's like
all right, fair
on the
point.
rainbow for like 2 hours on freaking YouTube. So
Well,
Astro Kitty could be
yeah, but
Nyan.
Kitten is kind of has some kind of connotations to it. But if somebody wants to remember the Astro Kitten, take the name. Be my guest. Okay, so Wednesday, or excuse me, Tuesday. Tuesday we've got Shannon Q. Let's Talk for You on my channel with Justin, the guy
Mhm.
from what is it? Something Productions. He's the one that criticized Paul Agia and tried calling him out. He's a young Earth
Mhm.
creationist. Um,
Hmm.
very awkward kid. But she challenged me. Shannon actually challenged me. She says, "Steve, I challenge you to get this kid for a Let's Talk." I was like, "Oh, I'm on it." And so I managed to arrange that. Have you watched any of those
I
Let's
like
Talks?
Apologia.
I love Paul Agia.
I haven't been able to. I have like so much
Oh,
stuff going on.
jeez.
I try to catch up on everybody's channels and stuff, and they're like, "You need to watch this." I'm like, "Yes," and then I add it to my list, and my list is like Santa Claus with the names and stuff at this point.
Do you even know what
So
channel you're on
it's
at the
like,
moment? Do you know where you're at? Do you know who I am? Ugh.
okay, so you're a guy that's named Steve,
We'll
and
go
he
with that.
does stuff
And he
sometimes,
does stuff. I'm
right?
Steve
And
who
he
does stuff
things
on the internet.
on
That's awesome.
lots of different channels.
Yeah, that's true. I got three. But
You have a lot of channels. It's like you juggle a lot of stuff. I wish I had as much time as you did. If I,
why do you think I need help? People have been asking me. They said, "Steve, if you need help, ask for help." I'm asking for help with this whole showing them how to do this. So it takes one less thing I have to do
Mhm.
because I can't keep up because it is difficult with the Discord and all these channels and planning this stuff.
It
Kyle and I are in
really is.
meetings all day long talking about stuff to make things happen. So
Oh, meetings though. I don't like meetings.
yeah, we have meetings. Well, it's the meetings aren't
You
bad.
have meetings?
It's when he says we need to talk. Then it's like fuck, what happened?
Oh,
Yeah.
see, texts like that are panic inducing.
I know. People need to stop doing that. Look, don't use that text at all. Never send that to anybody, regardless of whether it's
Right.
something good or bad. Don't say we need to talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a message one day and go, Steve, we really need to talk.
We really need to talk. You, me,
We
now,
really-
talk.
Yeah, we need to talk. There's we really yeah.
It's just
we
not
need to
work.
talk.
It's just not working for me either, Mel. So, okay. So Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we have Skylar Fiction. He's going to be having discussion with a philosopher. We're going to call him DC for now because I can't remember his full name.
A bona fide philosopher, an actual philosopher
Yeah.
person?
Yeah, an actual philosopher.
Fantastic.
He has his own webpage, so he must be legit.
Yeah.
I think he teaches it.
Cool.
But anyways, they're going to be talking on, I believe, if religion is beneficial to society, a moralistic approach.
Okay.
Fun for the entire family. We know people love that topic. not really, but I don't, but they do for some reason. I'm not a big fan of the whole moral argument stuff. Are you?
Well, I think it's a weird thing when people start to equate some kind of morality exclusively with religion. I think I tend to have issues with that, especially when you look at like the animal kingdom and you have altruistic behavior and you have symbiotic relationships. And so if you translate a little bit of the biological aspect of nature and the relationships there, and you see some kind of morality and cohesiveness within groups of organisms, and then you're like, well, morality is, we wouldn't have morality without religion. Then I'm like, well, we probably would, if we look at just the natural order of things. So I don't necessarily mind having talks like that. I tend to point out all of the examples associated what we see in wildlife and their behaviors and what they do for each other. And you're like, well, there's a little bit of a unspoken moral code. And then we start singing Lion King songs, and then it turns into, a Disney show. So
Yeah, no, I'm not in disagreement with that. I think there, obviously we have morality without religion, and I think it's disingenuous for people to say that, you cannot have morality unless you frame it in a theistic framework. I think that's completely wrong. So,
yeah.
because there's just no basis for that. Now, you can ground morality in, a deity type thing. That is something you can do. I have no problem with them doing that. I have a problem when they say that's the only way, because that's just fundamentally wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I tend to have issues like that, where people say, if it wasn't for religion, then everybody would be like assaulting each other or murdering or raping and all this stuff. And I'm going, wow, if it takes religion to keep you from being a bad person, maybe you're just a bad person.
Yeah, I think there's bigger problems to be had at that point. Yeah, definitely. I know a person like that too. We actually had a person in the community back when, before your time. His name was Mark Thomas. People might remember him. And we had asked him, I specifically even asked him, if you didn't have the Bible to gauge your morality by, if you didn't have God, would you be out there raping, pillaging, and killing? And he said, yeah, probably. And I'm like, then you're just a psychotic person. That's it. You are a psychopath. I mean, what else is there? I'm not going to be out there raping, killing, and pillaging if there's no Bible. I don't need that to tell me those things are not good.
Right.
Well, pillaging can be fun, but the rest, no. We all like to pillage every now and then, don't we? Pirates.
I suppose. I mean, then is it the Conan film? Listening to what was it you say in the Lamentations of the Women?
The Lamentations.
To the Lamentations of the Women. Isn't that Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Isn't that a quote?
It could be.
The Lamentations of the Women.
It could be. Somebody asked, hey Steve, it's Sean. Real quick, what's the deal with G-Man and the cancer thing? G-Man is a death peddler who promotes a substance called amygdalin, colloquially known as vitamin B16 or 17, which is not a vitamin, that he says is a cure for cancer. And he says that chemotherapy and radiation therapy are worse than cancer. And he agrees, I believe, with Tommy Hall that tumors are a good thing.
Okay, my question is I had heard somewhere that maybe G-Man was selling amygdalin or B17 or whatever as a cancer cure. Is he actually?
No, he's not selling it. He's just selling the narrative. He's a death peddler merchant. He's selling the narrative, not the actual product.
Yeah. Okay, because if he was selling the product, here's the thing. There's ways around this legally. You could actually report him to the FDA if he was. Because you cannot sell a product that claims to cure a particular illness unless it has been verified by the FDA. That's a law thing. And so I wonder if there's anything in coordination with that. I don't know if that translates.
No, he's not doing anything illegal.
Pushing the thing?
No, he's not doing anything illegal. He's doing unethical. Sure, I think it's an efficacy issue there, because he is just woefully unqualified to even remotely contribute to that conversation. I'm sorry, he's just beyond incompetent.
Right.
But there are people that do listen to him, unfortunately, and there are people that I know. I mean, there's this is not private knowledge is completely public. You know, Frankie has talked about his father who has prostate cancer, and he tried to go
Mhm.
this alternative route, thinking that he didn't have to go the conventional means, and you know what could have been
Right.
fixed in a day, you know, now is a long, arduous process that he has to go through.
Yeah. I think there is some danger associated with people who try to buy into some kind of naturopathy or that sort of thing, especially if they don't have access to medical care. Because that's ultimately where it kind of falls into line with in regards to whether or not people are going to fall for the stuff that people peddle as like this is a miracle cure for cancer or for autoimmune disease or whatever. Um, if they fall into that type of thinking, I find that most of the time, if that's the case, it's because they're just not accepting medical care. The stories and the things that I've read in regards to people who choose alternative treatments over medical care, they pay almost the same amount of money, um, but they're neglecting actual medical care. They have the means to do it. That is something I don't quite understand. Um, I can understand if you didn't have access to medical care and you were trying to find some quick fix in order to get better or to heal or something like that. And so I see a lot of predatory practices, especially with like weight loss products that try to prey upon those that are kind of in poverty. Um, if you take these particular pills, it'll help you lose weight. But a lot of these people are on food stamps, so they don't have access to nutritious foods. They might live in a food desert. And so a dollar pizza is enough to feed their kids, but there's no nutritional value in it. It's mostly high fat, high sugar, and that contributes to that particular issue. And in a way, well, in a huge way, those particular companies are predatory. But if we're talking about people that have access to medical care, that have health insurance, that forego that and pursue alternative types of what they you say alternative remedies, I don't quite understand that fully. Other than the diagnosis that they got from the doctor is this is stage 3 cancer. There's not much we can do about it. This is our plan of action. This has been the most successful, it's statistically speaking, but we make no promises. And they're like, okay, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try this over here along with it. Usually, it's coupled from what I've seen, but then I'm basing this on just what I've read, not necessarily holistically of the entire population of people like that. Um, so I don't know. That's why it's just baffling to me that people would forego active medical care for naturopathy unless it was in a dire situation to where there was very little hope,
Or they just have such a distrust of the mainstream, you know, medical professions, and I see that a lot. Obviously, Tommy Hall and G-Men have a huge distrust for the medical profession
Yes.
and science, and I think that's their whole narrative, and that's what I think is dangerous. One of the many things I think is
Yes, I
dangerous.
agree.
So. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you know, we could probably bitch about that all day long, but I just want to remind everybody, keep reminding people that these people are death peddlers, and keep reminding people how incompetent they are in this, and that what they're putting out will eventually, more than likely, lead to the attributing factor to somebody dying. So, I mean,
And not only that, I mean, direct them to viable and accurate sources.
oh yeah,
So if somebody
absolutely.
says, well, I heard this, and you're like, well, 99% of science disagrees with this, and here are the reasons why. Here are all my sources. So I find combating that type of ignorance and that willful ignorance is best done by saying, I understand what they're saying. They're misrepresenting science. Here's the correct information. Here it is, a substantial amount, this giant pile of all these papers, however you want to present it. This is what the science says. This is what the scientific community says is safe. If you don't want to believe this, okay, but I've given it to you. And so you can either accept it or not. So
Send them
it's
over to
kind of
Mel's
how I
channel.
handle it.
Yeah, send it to Mel's. By the way, Mel, did you? I got you in touch, or I tagged you into somebody that I had written a book about Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. Did you? Did he ever contact you?
He hasn't contacted
Okay.
me, but yeah, I saw that you tagged me about that.
I
Yeah,
thought you guys
that's
would have something in common there, but I'll reach out to him later. I tag you in that stuff.
I, yeah,
Yeah,
I noticed. Thank you for that.
sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, so let's get through this real quick. So, anyways, Thursday we have King Crocoduck back, 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. I don't know off the top of my head who's he's having a discussion with, but he's having a discussion with somebody, and that's also going to be on the Nonsequitur channel. So, anyways, moving on. So, yeah, it's been real busy with the Nonsequitur show. We are in the top 5 podcast on Podcast Land. We've had, I think we either just broke 10,000 or are about to break 10,000 downloads just from Fireside FM. And so it's probably 5 times the amount that are on RSS feed. So we are busy with that podcast. The videos we do on the Non Sequitur channel is kind of a byproduct. The podcast is our main vehicle. We're getting 600 unique hits a day on our webpage. So the podcast is becoming very, very popular. That leaves little time to maintain the Great Debate Community webpage. So the 6 people that have offered to help, this video from here is for you guys. The rest can hang out, watch, talk in live chat, whatever. You got to be bored. But anyways, this is what I need help with. So you guys had asked if I need help, and this is what I need help with. So let me screen share. And it only take like 15 minutes of somebody's time. Okay, so this is what the Great Debate Community page looks like, right? You don't have this up here unless you're, mods. But down here at the very bottom, and you said you use WordPress, right? No? So
Do what?
You use WordPress, so you're familiar with this, right?
I do use WordPress,
okay.
Yes.
So down here I have upcoming events. And when you click on it, there's a couple different ways to do this, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways, but this is one of the easiest because you can actually go to the page that has upcoming events, right? And then I have each event. And then you can just go down to the bottom here and click Edit. And then I'll bring up your editor.
Yes.
And so what I need somebody to be able to do, like maybe every Sunday, is just go into this web page, click Editor, and add the things that I give them a list from the calendar. And then I'll show them how to do a video or something, upload. So now it's going to throw me in the admin. It's going to throw me into how to actually write in here. So it has the title of the header, and then this is your main form. And all you need to do is just go in here and type it out after it shows here. Yeah, my computer's running a little slow when I'm running OBS. So, there we go. So this says, my channel, all the stuff on there, the Non Sequitur Show channel, and then you can add your own channel. Be my guest if you're like somebody like Atheist Beyond the Trailer Park, Heretic Woman, you want to do this, put your channel on the bottom here. We can have individual listings for the channels. The Geek Room, I want them to have their own separate thing if possible. And so if you're having regular programming, this is perfect for that because people can do it at a glance, So it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes to do that, any of that, at most. And then you just put what you want to hear to update, and you can even preview it. And I will go through you with this individually of how to do this if you're interested. I just want to give a really brief synopsis on it to show what it entails, because people have asked me, well, what do you need? How difficult is it? It's not. And the other thing would be on the pages. By the way, do you use what's your format to use for your WordPress? Do you remember your theme?
Oh gosh, I'd have to pull it up. It's scientistmail.com. So if you want to take a look.
We use
it says 404 not found.
Uh-oh.
It says 404.
Uh-oh, I didn't do it.
Okay. I don't remember the theme right off. But it has animations on the very first one. I recently wrote a thing on PETA or PETA, whatever you call it.
PETA.
So if you go to my main, I say PETA. I guess it's PETA. I don't know.
It's PETA. Yeah,
they block me on Twitter and they hate me. So
yeah, they're not a good organization. I mean, we are all for animal rights, right? But they are not a good organization.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They push a lot of pseudoscience. So I rip apart one of the papers they quote as a reason for being vegetarian to reduce your risk of breast cancer. and they talk about, and so I rip apart one of the.
But isn't that one of those things that even though that an organization has one thing that we stand with, just because they have one thing doesn't mean that under a tribalistic approach we're going to support them, because I think PETA sucks. I think they've got some horrible things they put out. I think they're militant. I think they're dangerous. But that doesn't mean I'm against animal rights. I love animals. I mean, I love you love animals.
I love animals. Yeah. And somebody's like, well, you must hate animals because you don't like PETA. I'm like, no, I love animals. That's why I don't like PETA.
Yeah, I see a lot of people with that mindset. Exactly. Okay, so in here, my homepage, the homepage is the front page right here. So when you go to the homepage real quick, and I'll show, we'll move on real quick and get this over with. Like I said, this is not an exceptionally entertaining hangout or video, and it's not meant to be. So if I bore you guys to death, we'll have more stuff on my channel next week.
It's all right.
Yeah, we're going to be doing an instructional video on music coming up here. Jade, Scott, and maybe a few other people. We're going to be talking about the circle of fifths. We're going to be talking about harmonic minors and melodic minors and how to form chords and triads. And I've been brushing up on my music theory because I took a couple years of it. And even though I don't have a really good understanding of it, I have enough of an understanding to at least have an interest in it where we can get a whole bunch of people together and talk music. How cool would that be?
That is cool. So along the lines of music, have you listened to Smells Like Teen Spirit in major chord? It sounds like a Macy's commercial.
I have to no, because that's played it. Isn't that in like an A minor? Or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so somebody took it and switched it to major to a major chord, and it sounds like something
I will check that out.
Like a JCPenney commercial. It's terrible. Okay, so the name of my theme is Ignis, IGNIS.
Okay, we use a great mag.
That's the theme I have. Okay. That just seems to work.
I'll look at it. I'm curious. Yeah, we use Great Mag, and it seems to work out okay. So, but in the Great Mag thing, there is here. Let's edit this. When you first look at the web page, there's those 5 things that it kind of like shows screenshots for. This is where you put them in, and you can put them in right here. And this changes the layout. So if you're interested in uploading a video, let's say like Mel, you did a science-y video or something like that. You're not uploading the whole video. You're only putting the link in. The link will show up down here, and then you put the link in here. You'll have a list that you can choose from. It's not doing it right now because it's really slow, but there's normally a list that comes up here. And you just pick the list, and then you just have 5 that you want to showcase. That's all. And then you just click done.
Right.
And then to upload a video is real simple, actually. You just do it as a post. So you go to post, add new. And again, I will show people one-on-one if they have an interest of helping to do this. I know that people, like David expressed interest, Bullinator, but he has too much on his plate, and I didn't want him to add any more to him because he's great with the Great Debate Community channel, and he helps with the Discord, and I don't want to overload a single person. And I had 6 other people message me they're interested in this, so... Okay, so add a new. All you do is just you add a new post. You put the name of the video here, right? And you click the video. It's real simple. Okay, you put the subject, the category. Let's say it's on. We'll say it's on philosophy, or something. And you put any tags you want in. You put an image to it, and then you just upload it by saying add media. And insert from URL. This is the hardest part right here. Insert from URL. You put it in there. You put the URL in right here of the video. Boom, you're done. You pretty well. And then you just put publish. You preview it first when publics. That's all there really is. It's the web. WordPress is very, very simple. Would you not say so? Well.
Yeah, it's very, very, very simple.
Yeah, if you've used any kind of word editor, if you've used any kind of wiki thing, if you've used any kind of Windows-based software, it's all exactly the same. So there's really no difference here. So that's how simple it really is. The only thing that I can add to it, and I'll tell people when I one-on-one with them on this, when you do a set featured image, if you want to add something, that's fine. I've got a lot of images already in there. But if you want to add your own, or if you want to add something off Google, that's great. But we try to keep the images licensed free. So when you do a search for Google image, change the tools if you can to license non-attribution, I think it's called. And that way there's just no legal things. Now, I don't particularly care one way or another. Nobody's going to really care. But I prefer if you try to find something that has non-required attribution. right?
Right.
All right. So, anyways, let's go back to our thing here. But that's it. That's all I need to help with right now. Really, if somebody can actually help with that, then yeah, that would really be a tremendous thing to the DDC, and you can promote your own stuff. So hopefully, I could find somebody who actually has a channel that wants to do it, because then they're not just doing it altruistically from the bottom of their heart to help the Great Debate community. They're actually able to upload their own videos and showcase their stuff, and I'm quite fine with that. So. Because we do get traffic to that page. Um, so any volunteers? Let me know. So anyway, so what do you want to talk about now? Again, we do have our 6 o'clock Debbie Does Flat Earth with Kristen tonight. Oh God, that woman! I'm telling you, I had about 5 or 10 minutes in. I just couldn't take it any longer. I mean, JD just loves this woman, and I'm like, I know he loves that kind of stuff. I don't. I just don't. That's why I don't even go on Talking Shit Tuesday. I used to listen pretty religiously. Now I'll tune in every so often, but I just cannot listen to Debbie talk for fucking 2 hours. Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched. I'm so behind on a lot of watching things. I try to catch up as much as possible, but it's like for my own channel and stuff. I have my podcast. I have my. I'm now making shorter videos of my live streams called Scientist Mel Shorts, and then I have my live streams that I do, and I'm booking people for my podcast, and then I still write articles, and I'm submitting it to various papers like Huffington Post and Mary Sue. So it's like,
well, yeah. Look at.
I
look at. If you want to be entertained and see some world class, grade A gold fuckery, go watch JD's talk with Debbie. I'm highly recommending it. Right? I'm not saying don't go watch it. I'm saying the opposite. You know, the opposite. Go watch it.
Oh,
for me, however, I can't do it.
I think I watched the very first video of I think I watched a little bit of a G-Man talk, and after I hurt myself laughing for like 5 minutes, I thought, God, I don't know. And I kind of felt bad because I'm like, I start to think there's some kind of ethical thing here at some point in time where I'm watching this utter nonsense from somebody who believes this, and I'm laughing at them. Like, it's kind of sad.
Weren't you in the weren't you in my last hangout, the efficacy of talking to morons?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you missed that one. That was good. Yeah.
I bet it was. I feel like at some point in time, it's almost kind of like gladiator arena stuff where you're just throwing people to lions. After a while, you're like, I just, you know.
The biggest thing that came out of that was somebody spending an inordinate amount of time with my use of the word efficacy, even though that I had shown them it goes back to Encyclopedia Britannica from like the 1800s. The word is used in business. I found numerous studies with the term efficacy in it, and we had courses that used the term efficacy. So even if it's not in Merriam-Webster, it's still a term in the zeitgeist out there, and I'm perfectly fine using it. It's not a word. I'm fine using it.
And just kind of rip you out.
Yeah, well, if somebody wants to spend that much time arguing if efficacy is a word or not, knock yourself out. I'm not interested. I'm really not.
And the thing is, language is it evolves. I worked when I was teaching high school. The English teachers were like right across the hallway from me, and so we would do a lot of cross curriculum things. So if they were talking like about Hitler and genetic cleansing, that happened to coincide about the same time that I was talking about genetics. And so we would have a lot of different assignments that kind of blended together to where we were both teaching each other's content. And she used to get so mad about how words would change. And she just said, you know what, to be quite honest, she said, after all, and this is coming from an English teacher, she just finally said, you know what, language is supposed to change. It's supposed to adapt. It's supposed to evolve. And it can mean different things later on. And that's, if you understand what somebody's trying to relay to you, that's more important than them
it's fluid.
using a word that you think is correct or not. If you understand what they're saying, that's That's the point of language.
Yeah, to be able to communicate in a concept, right? Look at when I grew up, you couldn't have a dangling participle. Now, who the fuck cares if your participles are dangling? You just can't do it in public. But it doesn't matter. People don't. And now I understand there's certain grammatical things you want to be correct on. I get that, but there are certain rules that are really not even adhered to any longer. I mean, they may have been when I was a kid, but nowadays, things moved on. People don't care. They understand the concepts. And I'm not a grammaticist.
Prepositions.
Yeah.
Where did you go to? To is a preposition. You're not supposed to end a sentence with it.
Are you dangling your prepositions on my channel here?
It's just right on the end there. Yeah. It's just there, just hanging.
Yeah. You want to complete the sentence. You want to say something like. To where are you going?
Where's the object of your preposition?
Where's the object of your preposition for your predicate clause? Do you remember doing that? Do they do that any longer when they do a sentence structure diagram? So they underline this and they put a line here and say this is your verb and your gerund. Yeah. This is your clause. This is your That was fun actually. Never got good at it, but I don't know if they even do that anymore.
They do in college. I think that's part of English composition. You only get a semester of that, though.
Do you know what my English class in college entailed? I shit you not. You're going to die. My English class, English 1A, and I got an A in it. There was only 2 A's in the class, A plus, I believe. But there's only 2 A's in the entire class. And the entire course was based on 2 freaking things. One, Aleister Huxley's 1984. Or no, excuse me, A Brave New World. And the other one, the majority of it was how to do MLA format.
Oh, MLA, yeah.
Which I never had to use in my entire life subsequently.
You know, it's irritating. Okay, because I have 2 separate graduate degrees. My Master's of Arts, I had to write in MLA. But my Master's of Science, I had to write my Master's of Arts, I had to write in APA. My Master's of Science, I had to write in MLA. 2 completely different things. And I got pinged on it every time. So when I left undergrad doing MLA and started my first master's, they're like, we do APA here. And I'm like, why? And so then I had to do that. And then I go over to my other master's in science, and they're like, we do MLA again. I'm like, well, that just makes sense now.
And there's other formats out there as well. Those are not the only 2. But look, if you're not going to be doing technical research writing for anything like that, then I can tell you right now, you're never going to have to know squat about APA or MLA. It just was the most useless class I ever took.
And freaking references. EasyBib.com is where I'd go and type in. They're like, would you like MLA or APA? And I would just click what I wanted and copy and paste into my Word document.
Well, see, back in my day, we didn't have the luxury of that kind of stuff. We had things like, back in my day, called card catalogs. Remember those? Probably before your time.
Ooh, yeah. Did it have that really weird old book smell?
What's a book? What's a book? Is that those things with paper something in the middle and then have like
I have one right here.
Actually I got one too. Wait, you're making me move here. Let me see, where did I do it?
This one's Hitchens.
Yeah.
This one is Christopher Hitchens. Yeah.
I actually found one of my old college books and my camera's all jacked up. I don't know why I'm doing this, but let's see here. I'm too lazy to fix it. My camera won't turn on.
Your camera won't turn on.
Yeah, now okay. Anyway, it won't work. I have a problem with it. I'm trying to turn on, but it's not working. It says Hangouts cannot use the selected camera. Because I'm probably going to OBS. But anyways, it's called Thinking Critically, 7th edition by John Chaffee, Chaffee. $46.60. You can buy it for $1.30 now, I think, on Amazon. I'm serious. It's I have the price tag right here. 46 or 40. It's a little faded. 48.60. But this critical thinking book, it's a primer. It's great. It actually has like logical fallacies. It explains how to really analyze things to determine if a fallacious argumentation thing was being used. And this is what I'm saying. I think everybody should take these courses. I really do.
I think so too. I think at this day, in this day and age, people have a very hard time, first of all, accepting evidence. Secondly, they have a hard time thinking critically. Thirdly, they have a difficult time expressing themselves in ways that people can understand. So you have kind of like a trifecta here of people that don't know how to think critically, that don't know how to express themselves in a way that other people can understand. It's just this big ball of hullabaloo. And you're going,
Yeah.
how do I navigate this?
Exactly. I mean, I just like open this up, right? And this is like something like we all deal with. It's just like saying, look at evaluating inductive arguments, and they ask 4 simple questions, right? You know, is the sample known? Is the sample sufficient? Is the sample representative? And do you believe the conclusions are likely to be accurate? You know, this is how you critically think when you look at some kind of especially when you're looking at a survey of some kind, seeing and determining whether it's skewed, if it's a loaded question, was it a representative sample, is it a sufficient sample? We all understand this. We've had these classes. You're a scientist, so you know this inside and out. This is your bread and butter. But people that don't learn about these things, like the clown car posse, they don't get it. It's a foreign concept to them.
It is, and that's. I think there's also a stigma associated with the fact of being wrong. That somehow, if you're wrong, then that means you're a bad person, or you're stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about. That sort of thing. I'm wrong, and often. I mean, 90% of science is being wrong. A lot. And so
but see, there's a difference between wrong and there's a difference between wronger than wrong. You could have, okay, I'm testing something out. Of course, I know I might be wrong on this or whatever, and I'm just wrong. But there is a potato level wrong that supersedes anything that an actual scientist would ever run across. For example, when did you see my video about Nephilim Free? When he actually said that DNA is comprised of proteins? Amino acids, which amino acids, proteins are comprised of amino acids, but he thinks that DNA is comprised of amino acids, ergo he thinks DNA is protein or something. And
no, they're not.
What's worse was C. Brown was actually trying to justify what he said by going, well, I talked to Nephilim Free on that, and he was saying that he was really kind of referring to RNA polymerase and and things with protein structure, and I'm like, I asked him what DNA was comprised of, okay, not RNA polymerase, and so it was bizarre watching this guy try to defend Nephilim Free on that, so.
It's weird, and I do agree. There's varying levels of wrongness, and to be fair, somebody may be really, really strong in a particular field and not understand basic fundamentals of another field. But if it's something that's well established and taught from the time that you're a child, for instance, like the Earth isn't flat, that's a different level of wrongness. That's something to where And to me, when I encounter people who believe in flat Earth, I send them links on how to find an appropriate psychologist, because to me, I don't. They're like, well, I want to debate with you about the Earth being flat. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, because you're not going to accept any evidence I give you. Well, you're just making judgments. I'm like, well, I see you think the Earth is flat. Here's a link to psychologists to help you sort that out.
90% of them are trolls. I'm telling you. I get them all the time on my Facebook page. I get them on G+. And somebody had mentioned something about population being unreliable. I think if I'm not mistaken, the claim was unless you sample 100% of all scientists, you can never have a representative sample size. I think that's wasn't that a claim that Ronnie made, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm not certain.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was like he was saying you have to sample every single scientist to get a representative sample. I'm like, then you don't understand what a representative sample is, Ronnie. You're not even close. And we figured it out. For the question involved, I think we had like 2,000 would be 2,000 something was a representative sample size. That's all you needed.
Wow. And to be fair, that's why we have meta-analysis. So I have talked in the past about review papers as opposed to experimental papers. There is a use for review papers, especially if they're meta-analysis papers, because then they'll take all of the studies that have been done on a thing and tell you what the trends are. That's quite useful. that would be a good example of taking a sample size of all the scientists who have done research on a particular thing and said, this is what they've done. Here is the sum up of all of the research we have for the past 5 years on nanoparticles and cancer. And this is the trend. This is what they all say. This is what it looks like the field is going towards. That's quite useful. So in regards to getting a meta-analysis or like a sample size of scientists on a particular topic, you know, that's science already does that in meta-analysis.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And that's why when, you know, I always get thrown when somebody says, well, here's that one anomalous scientist that says this, and they use that as the norm, right? They say that they prop that one person up and say, look, this person says this, and I'm like, well, what about the 100,000 to 1 ratio of the people saying that person's full of shit? They just ignore that.
It's funny. I'm writing a book right now on cognitive bias, and that's something that I bring up a bit, especially when it comes to lawmakers and legislation who find a singular study, and that's what they base their entire perspective on because it happens to push their personal agendas. And I'm sitting here thinking, if they were in graduate school, were grad students in science, and they base their entire thesis or their entire research project on one study and had to stand in front of their committee like I had to do when I got my master's and be grilled for 2 hours about their research to where they needed to be able to answer questions, how would they hold up based on one study?
They would die. Well, I mean, I never had to defend a master's thesis, and this is not to equivocate my history, but I know how nerve-wracking it could be to get up and try to in front of people and defend what you know. My final oral qualification board, my review board, there was 5 people there. 2 of them were nuclear engineers, and the rest were officers, and there was 1 petty officer, I believe. And I think that was the right makeup. But I know I know for a fact 1 was a nuclear engineer, the other one was a nuclear something. But anyways, it was 4 hours of them asking anything that I've learned over the entire pipeline of nuclear power school and prototype.
Yes.
And it could be anything. Yes. It could be anything whatsoever. It could be your first day in A school. They could have asked you, what's the formula for kinetic energy, if they wanted to. Something that basic. Or they could have said, okay, can you draw me the entire electrical distribution system from the ship service turbo generators to the batteries to the SMMGs, which is ship service motor generators, to the ship service turbo generators, which was a question I got asked. That's why I remembered it.
Yep.
And that took me a good half hour just to get that drawn out. It's ridiculous. I wasn't expecting that. That was not something that I even studied. I was like, what the hell has that got to do with anything? They just threw that out there. Then they had asked me a question on something like rod height. I had to calculate something using startup rate equation and xenon decay rate. But yeah, it's when correct me if I'm wrong, when you were defending a master's, they can ask you anything they want.
Yeah, it's mostly going to be, and so the project that I was on happened to be in computational chemistry, and I had switched labs from cancer research in regards to hands-on nanoparticle generating breast cancer tests to computational models associated with the LPA2 receptor. And so switching between 2 projects, the work that I did, I had to know every single thing about it and whether or not, and they had probing questions to try to determine what my level of knowledge was. And I managed to do a lot of work in a short period of time. But there would be stuff that they had asked me on that was from organic chemistry from 9 years ago.
Ridiculous.
And I was like,
did you ever make any bonehead moves?
My gosh.
I remember the biggest bonehead the biggest bonehead move I made in my 4-hour ordeal. And it was so silly, right? It's one of those things that, of course, it's so basic that but it was in my diagram that I had on one of the systems, and I think it was a pressurizer system, but I don't remember. But I had a pump, and what the symbol for a pump is basically a circle with a line coming out of the middle and a line tangential to the top, and that represents the volute in the middle, and then the impeller in the middle, and then it has the volute coming out. And so basically, it just goes in and comes out. Well, I had it reversed. So I had the flow backwards. Wow. Very simple mistake. I just had my pump backwards in the diagram. They're like, that's not going to work that way. And I was like, what the hell? I'm staring at this going, what the hell did I do wrong? I felt like an idiot. I finally caught it, and there's the chuckling. But it wasn't like it was a conceptual error. It was just I was nervous and I just happened to fucking put the pump in backwards.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I got nervous. They had asked me about resonance structures, and I hadn't thought about resonance structures in a while. I had been drawing a lot of them because of the various forms for the particular project I was on. The thing is, we had known antagonists for this LPA2 receptor, and I was generating a protocol based on known antagonists for this particular software in order to find potential other compounds that they could use for drug development later on computational models. And so the thing is the list of the compounds that they gave me, they didn't tell me what the structures were as far as the stereochemistry on what was active. So I had to go through and figure out on my own, just based on the behavior of these compounds in the computational model. I'm like, they're not hooking up properly.
So where were you when we did a hangout on Lewis structures and Vesper?
I wasn't in that hangout because
yeah, we could have used you then. You know, we had a few hangouts on them, and I find them to be fascinating, right? But yeah, I could have used some help.
Are crazy. Yeah, they don't. Lewis structures are not. I didn't use those at all in research. I used primarily stereochemistry in regards to dash and wedge. Dash and wedge is what they would ask me to do. And they're like, you're drawing equilibrium arrows, not resonance. I'm like, well, crap. And they're like, well, why is this bad? And I want to say, because it just looks wrong and it won't fit right. But that wasn't a sufficient answer.
I honestly, I just, for some reason, because we had chemistry in nuke school and I took chemistry in high school. I don't remember dealing with resonance structures. I know what they are, and I understand, yeah. Electron orbital, and I understand electron configurations around the structure, like with the Lewis diagram. But I don't remember actually having to show the electrons for some reason, I don't recall any of that.
Well, you deal a lot with resonance structures when it comes to organic molecules.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense because ours was inorganic.
Because you can change the shape. If you change the shape of a molecule, it behaves differently. Hence, me having a lot of hell with that particular project because the list they literally gave me a list of antagonists, but there would be like a whole lot of them that had several different types of stereochemistry. And if you had the wrong stereochemistry, it didn't fit in your receptor. Well, and you got terrible numbers. You're like, but I know this is an antagonist. So I had to go through and draw out all of the potential structures for these particular antagonists to see which ones fit within the receptor in the computational model in order to generate a protocol to find future compounds that could possibly be used as drug development in cancer drugs, trying to enhance chemotherapy medications.
Yeah, that was huge back in the 50s. Remember, I know you know, but the people may not remember. Back in the 50s, there was a drug thalidomide. Is that how you say it? Thalidomide?
Yeah, I think
and thalidomide. And it had the wrong stereoisomer, and so basically I think it was left-handed, and it should have been right-handed or vice versa, and they thought that there should have been a difference. They should, okay, it's chemically the same. It's just, this is on one side, it'd rather be on the other side. The H is instead of being on the right hand of the structure, the hydrogen atom is on the left side. Big deal. Then they found out that it had a huge difference. It actually caused major birth defects. Thalidomide did. So. Yeah, there's definitely reasons why people have to learn the difference between these structure configurations. It's critical in drugs. So
yeah, it is. And so just so stuff like that. So I was making like rookie mistakes on after having been grilled for so long, and then they're like, okay, I want you to draw these structures, and you're just like, man, I'm just so tired because I had spent so much time, and the thing is the paper, I had 3 revisions of the paper that I needed for my master's that I turned in, and my research mentor was like, yeah, I don't like this paper, it's not good enough. I had maybe 8 more revisions before I got it to where she wanted for me to submit it to my committee to where they would let me graduate. I'm talking like days before graduation. She's like, yeah, I want you to work on this. But it's not because she was mean. it's because she wanted me to present the best evidence I could possibly present and the best work that I could do. And so she ran, and I love her. I still love her, and I'll email her and call her sometimes. Be like, "How you doing?"
Hey, what's
But
up?
it's like, "What's up?
What's
How
up?
you doing, Dr. P? You know, what's going on? I'm working now. Isn't that great?" So, but it's just, she brought out in me what it is that I needed to be in order to be able to say, okay, this is what the evidence is. And she taught me, you just cannot take it personally. You just can't. You're not going to know the answer to everything, and that's okay. But you need to be able to say, I don't have this answer, but I'm going to find it for you. And this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, well,
So,
it's funny is that's what we're taught as well. We have what's called lookups, and if you don't know, so the worst thing you can do, and if anybody ever goes to Naval Nuclear Power School, and I assume this is probably the same in any academics, the worst thing you try to do is bullshit. You'll be called out on it.
yes.
You'll be called out on it.
Yes.
So what they tell you is straight up say, you know what? I don't have that information this time, but I will find out for you. And then your job at that point is to go research it, and it's called a lookup. You research it and come back to them and explain to them the deficit of knowledge you had and correct it, and then give them the correct knowledge. And it's not that hard to do, but people have such pride, and they don't want to admit they don't know something. And when you hear somebody bullshit, it's just like, wow, yeah, no, it's just no.
Yes, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm familiar, and I think a lot of times when you deal with people like Tommy and G-Man, they have some kind of stigma associated with being wrong. That if they're wrong, then that makes them stupid or bad or something. And I think inherently that's probably a lot of the core of the issues when we encounter people that deny science and deny evidence and that sort of thing. They just cannot cope with being wrong, because being wrong means you're stupid, or you're lesser, or you're not capable, or so I have a lot of issues with people that think that being wrong is somehow a bad thing. It's really not. It's okay to be wrong. That's how you learn.
But again,
So,
I gotta emphasize this. There are different levels of wrongness. So
yes,
I mean,
there are different levels of wrongness. I agree with that. But I'll never belittle a person who is wrong if they're trying to learn. If they legitimately don't know something and they're actively trying to learn and grow, then I respect that. If they're being wrong and they're belligerent, or they're defending their wrong status, the earth is flat, or the earth is not flat, it's hollow and expanding. I did this calculation on this software, and I'm like, yeah, but we have actual lab tests in addition to other computational models that aren't on your home, Microsoft computer at home with, I don't even know what the heck you ran.
yeah.
So,
Well, I ran into that the other day. Unfortunately, there's a guy that friended was it friended forever. Nice guy, articulate,
yes.
educated, well spoken, very knowledgeable. But he was getting on Arn Ra for something that I felt Arn Ra probably had no reason to know. Right, and it had to do with free
Yeah.
riders, and it had to do with genes, group selection. And it was mostly he was trying to kind of dive a little bit into, I think, Photo's natural argument against natural selection, and go more into the fact that Arn should know about group selection over individual selection and the selfish gene and all that. And I'm like, wait a minute here, Arn. First of all, Arn is a phylogeneticist. He's not a He's not somebody like he's not he thinks it's evolutionary biology, but he specializes in a very niche of it, which is phylogenetics. And so when it comes to these free rider things, and it comes to things like, can altruism be something that is actually a heritable trait, that actually goes to metaphysics more than it does biology. Altruism is a metaphysical subject, and so I was explaining to him, look, this is more the philosophy of science that you're trying to argue here, friended. And he's like, yeah, but philosophy is the key to knowledge. How do you have knowledge without philosophy? I'm like, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think philosophy is critical. But you're actually condemning Aaron Roth and not getting into the philosophical side of science when that's not an area of his expertise. It's not his purview. And instead of trying to teach him about it, if he wants to learn it and you want to explain it to him, you're belittling him for it. And Aaron's not the kind of guy
Right.
to say, I don't want to learn something. He'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll learn about that. So I definitely see there's a different approach, and I agree with you. If somebody wants to honestly learn something, then explain it to them. But I've run into flat earthers,
Yes.
they don't want to fucking learn.
No, no, and see that's why I don't argue with them. I just give them links to how to find a psychologist. So, because there's more there than just I believe the earth is flat. That, you can't argue with a person that's not rational.
Well,
And
do you
that's
think most
kind
are
of where
pros?
I go with that.
I mean,
Huh?
I think most are pros, but but if they're pros, that's fine. They still need mental health. If they're pretending to be a flat
Yeah.
earther for fun, I think they have psychological issues. They still need mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. So when you have people that are so blatant in their bias to where it's just it's they're sucked into that. That's something that I can't fix with any substantial amount of evidence. And I'm not going to waste my time running in circles and chasing my tail like a dog, you know, trying in these circular arguments. Well, you can't prove it doesn't happen. You can't prove this. You can't prove. And I'm like, we have evidence otherwise, and you don't accept it. So I don't know why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, as soon as they start dealing with epistemic uncertainties, I'm like, okay, I'm done. If you can't show me the math and physics of a flat
Yeah.
Earth model, I'm not going to continue the conversation. So,
I mean, there's really nothing there. I mean, we had, and I talk about this in one of my videos on the science of flat earthers, why they think that way. There have been scientists that have gone out and performed experiments that they could see with their own eyes and see that the curvature of the earth and have the math there calculated and everything for them while they're standing right there. And they're like, yeah, no, I don't believe it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And so I don't get involved in debates with people like that because there's no point. It's just they're just barking at me at some point and I'm going, yeah, this is utter nonsense and I don't know why I'm here.
yeah, it's not worth your time. But I am going to keep this a little short. We are at the 1 hour mark. I don't want this very long because this was just not. This was only tailored for a few people, although it got to an interesting conversation.
Right.
So I hope they do watch this. Anything you add to a conversation is great. Anytime you come in. But I know that the AE is on the Atheist Experience. People do like to watch that. By the way, if you guys have not heard, we do have Matt Dillahunty on next month. So yeah, that's a big thing. I think we're pitting him against Inspiring Philosophy.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of big names coming up. So the Non-Sequitur show has been taken off. Thank you guys for your support on that. Please continue to share the link for the Non-Sequitur show. Watch the podcast, or listen. Watch the podcast. Listen to the podcast. Download them from iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, whatever the hell the RSS feeds. There's so many of them anymore. I mean, we got like 15 feeds.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on a lot too.
Wow.
You know, so
I guess
shout out
I
yours.
don't know.
Shout out your speed. Where your feeds? Where can we find your podcast at?
Well, I have an audio podcast. It's literally hashtag Hey Scientist Mel. You can find it on iTunes, just about any podcast service you should be able to find. I do host it on my website, scientistmel.com. There should be an RSS feed there as well. But if you hop on a podcast app, is literally hashtag Hey Scientist Mel, because that's the hashtag I use on Twitter for people to ask me questions. And I just posted on Patreon my talk I had with Evo PhD and her work in evolution education, and so that'll be available to the Gen Pop.
I saw that. I mean, I saw you posted. I know her. I mean, I know she's on my Twitter thing as well.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she seemed like she's pretty cool. I hadn't reached out to her to be a guest. I was planning on it, but you kind of beat me to the punch on that one. But now that you've talked to her, maybe you can throw her our way.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. She does fantastic work in education outreach, especially with overcoming religious obstacles in evolution education. So we talk a bit about that in my episode with her. It's called The Evolution of Education.
So can you put a good word in for us then?
Yeah, I can put in a good word.
We'll share guests. I mean, I've told you before.
Yeah.
Anybody we get, we're happy to share them. We're just pass people around. It's fine.
Yeah. We got to keep the rational and the rational reasoning in all out and give it as much exposure as possible. I am going to have on my next episode somebody who does work in therapy, in mental health, and which will be kind of interesting to hear about her work and her outreach she does with that. So that's kind of neat.
Well, if I get an admin or a web page manager, they can actually start, uploading. Well, they don't even have to upload. They just put the link on to your channel and your shows. So if somebody wants to be able to do that, let me know. And you're helping Mel out. You're helping me out. You're helping the Geek Room out. You're helping Nonsequitur out. You're helping your other channels out that want to be help promoted. And by the way, it has made a difference. Don't think that it hasn't. The Geek Room is now at, I think, I don't know, 1,500 subs or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just shy under 1,000. I'm like at 750 or 760 or something.
Yeah, we gotta get you to 1,000. I just broke 4,000 on this one. We're about to break 3,000 on the next Non-Sequitur show, and that's only been out 2 months.
That's awesome.
3,000. Yeah, that I got B- rating now.
Oh, that's awesome. I saw that. And you celebrated with Popeye's chicken,
Popeye's
right?
chicken. Yeah, it was yum. I splurged, and I'm going to be like, without food for the next couple of days because, I splurged on Popeyes because, fine dining.
Fine dining. Popeyes indeed.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, I'm not kidding. Popeyes is good. So I'll give Ronnie props. If he's going to celebrate, do it with Popeyes.
No KFC for you, Steve. It's all Popeyes, right?
It's all, yeah. Oh, no, KFC sucks. Yeah, I am not a fan of KFC. KFC used to be good, and I hate to say it, they used to be good before they got rid of their trans fats. Now, I understand trans fats are horrible for you. I get that, right? And I understand this health and safety thing. I understand that well, but I'll tell you what, their chicken used to be good. So it is what it is.
But do you really go for the chicken, or do you go for the biscuits and gravy and mashed potatoes?
I like the chicken. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, the chicken was good.
Biscuits and mashed potatoes and gravy, man. That's what makes KFC wonderful. For me, at least.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they have bad, biscuits and gravy, but it used to be that was the only place you can really get chicken from. Now you got Church's, which is really good, and you got a whole bunch of other places out there.
I really don't eat that so much. I make my own Cajun chicken at home.
Yeah, I don't ever hardly eat. That's what I'm saying. I really was splurging by going to get some Popeyes. But what happened was I had to go somewhere, and I needed a ride. So I told my roommate, if you give me a ride, I'll buy lunch. And I said, what do you want for lunch? And he said, how about you remember we went to Popeyes? Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, let's get get some Popeyes. Woot. So
see, you're just laying it on thick, man. You're like, dude, I need a ride. You want some Popeyes?
Oh,
that's how. Some sweet chicken, man.
I'm a charmer. Yeah. Hey, yo, Vato, you hook me up with a ride, I'll give you some chicken, essay. Yeah, it works every time.
Oh God.
Hey, I could do that. I speak Spanish. Well, sort of. I took 4 years of Spanish. My Spanish is horrible. I was speaking it to Mel when she came in here, and she was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Oh my goodness.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you guys do want to help out with this, let me know. Message me directly, and I'll spend some time with you showing what I need. And it shouldn't take more than maybe 20 minutes a week. That's it. But that's 20 minutes less than I'm trying to keep up with everything. So, but let's throw it out there. Bullinator has a channel now. He broke 100. Go subscribe to Bullinator. Go subscribe to Scientist Mel. I'll throw in her links to the video description afterwards, even though it's not going to be a majorly watched video because it wasn't supposed to be. So we'll see you guys at 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. I told you when he came in, you're going to be bored of tears. It's basically a real quick video.
To do. It's all right.
She was so bored. She's like, Steve, I'm so bored. Entertain me.
Entertain me. I need
was that paraphrased? Well, you messaged me something.
So.
You messaged me something, but I'll go with the paraphrase. She was bored and needed entertainment.
Totally bored and totally needed to hop onto something and do a thing. I don't know.
Well, you wanted something impromptu. You wanted some kind of hangout, right?
Yeah, I was like, I was doing I was an impromptu talk because it's supposed to be on Sci Strike tonight, but they're doing it tomorrow instead. So I've been on their show every week for the past couple of weeks about climate change. So they're doing a series on that. So supposed to do that tonight, and they're like, no, we're pushing it to tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm supposed to do
good. That means
now.
You can watch Debbie with the rest of us. You can suffer with the rest of us. So we'll see you guys tonight. Enjoy, guys. We'll see you tonight. Non-Sequitur show. Debbie does Flat Earth with Astro Kristen. So good night.
Yes.